Maya Rodriguez stared at her computer screen like it had personally insulted her mother. Which, considering the day she was having, it probably had. The customer service queue at Galactic Communications Inc. showed 47 angry calls waiting, and her coffee had gone cold 3 hours ago. Again. Thank you for calling Galactic Communications. This is Maya. How can I help you today? She delivered the line with all the enthusiasm of a funeral director at a clown convention. Gra-ra-a blurg wumph translator broken stupid human technology. The voice on the other end sounded like a garbage disposal having an existential crisis. Maya rubbed her temples. The universal translator was acting up again, turning what should have been a simple billing inquiry into an intergalactic screaming match. She'd already dealt with a Rigellian who wanted to pay his bill in fermented fish paste, a Centaurian who insisted on singing every response in what sounded like dying whale song, and a vegan who wouldn't stop asking if their satellite signals were cruelty-free. Sir, I understand you're frustrated with your translator. Let me transfer you to our technical support team. She clicked the transfer button with the force of someone trying to launch a rocket. The phone rang immediately. Again. Thank you for calling Galactic Communications. This is Maya. How can I? Maya, thank the cosmic void. I need your help immediately. The voice was deep, urgent, and surprisingly clear. Either the translator was working perfectly, or this guy spoke English. Which was weird because according to her screen, the call was coming from somewhere in the Andromeda sector. Okay, what seems to be the problem today? Maya asked, already reaching for her stress ball. It was shaped like Earth. She'd squeezed it so many times that Africa was completely flat. The Zephyrian Empire has broken through our defenses. My flagship is taking heavy damage and I've lost contact with my fleet commanders. I need immediate strategic consultation. Maya blinked. Then blinked again. I'm sorry, did you say strategic consultation? Sir, this is customer service for a telecommunications company. I think you might have the wrong number. There's no time. They're targeting my command bridge. I need options, and I need them now. In the background, Maya could hear what sounded like explosions and people screaming. Or maybe aliens screaming. It was hard to tell. The sound quality was surprisingly good for what appeared to be a space battle. Sir, I really think you should hang up and call someone else. Maybe the military? Or space police? I don't know, whoever handles space emergencies. You don't understand. You're my only hope. The communication array is damaged, and this is the only channel still working. Please, I'm begging you. Maya looked around the office. Her supervisor, Janet, was at lunch. Half her co-workers were on their phones, probably talking to their own confused aliens. The other half were staring blankly at their screens, questioning their life choices. She sighed. Company policy was clear: you don't hang up on a customer unless they're being abusive or threatening. This guy sounded desperate, not dangerous. And honestly, after the day she'd had, the space battle seemed like a refreshing change of pace. Okay, let me see what I can do. What's your name? Supreme Warlord Krex'thor of the Crimson Nebula Fleet. And you're Maya, correct? Maya, I need you to understand something. I'm not just any warlord. I've conquered 17 star systems, crushed the hegemony of despair, and once ate a moon. But right now, I'm getting my armored backside handed to me by a bunch of squid-faced bureaucrats with fancy ships. Maya grabbed a pen and started taking notes. Not because she thought she could actually help with a space battle, but because taking notes was what you did in customer service. It was practically a reflex. And these Zephyrians, they're the problem? They're the problem. They're the solution. They're the reason I'm talking to a human instead of dying gloriously in battle like my ancestors. Maya, I need you to help me figure out how to not die in the next 10 minutes. She looked at her computer screen. The call timer showed they'd been talking for 3 minutes. In customer service terms, that was practically a lifetime. But something about the genuine panic in his voice made her pause. All right, Krex'thor. Let's see what we can do. Maya had handled a lot of weird calls in her 3 years at Galactic Communications. There was the time a Plutonian tried to order pizza through their technical support line. The incident with the Martian who wanted to file a noise complaint about Earth's radio signals. The memorable conversation with a sentient gas cloud who was convinced that satellite TV was a form of mind control. But this was her first intergalactic warfare consultation. Okay, Krex'thor, I need you to walk me through what's happening. Pretend I'm someone who's never been in a space battle before. Which was true, unless you counted the time she'd played that old video game where you shot asteroids. The Zephyrian Empire has been expanding into our territory for months. They've got superior technology, better tactics, and apparently unlimited resources. I thought I could take them in a direct confrontation, but they've outmaneuvered me at every turn. Maya scribbled notes on her pad. When you say outmaneuvered, what exactly do you mean? They predicted every move I made. It's like they knew my battle plans before I did. Maya, I've been a warlord for 67 years. I've never been this thoroughly outclassed. Maya tapped her pen against her teeth. In customer service, when we have a problem we can't solve with our usual methods, we're supposed to step back and look at the bigger picture. What would happen if you stopped trying to fight them directly? What do you mean? I mean, what if instead of attacking them head-on, you tried something completely different? What do they want from your territory anyway? There was a pause. Maya could hear more explosions in the background, followed by what sounded like someone shouting orders in an alien language. They want our energy sources. We control 3 of the richest dilithium mining systems in this sector. Right, and they probably expect you to defend those systems directly, right? Of course. They're the most valuable. Krex'thor stopped mid-sentence. Wait, Maya. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything, I'm just asking questions. What would they do if you abandoned those systems entirely? They'd occupy them immediately. But then they'd have to spread their forces thin to maintain control over such a large area. Their supply lines would be stretched across multiple star systems. Maya could practically hear the gears turning in his head. And while they're busy trying to manage all that territory, I could hit their main supply depot. Maya, you're brilliant. How did you think of that? Honestly, it's the same thing we do when our phone system gets overloaded. Instead of trying to handle every call at once, we redirect traffic to less busy lines. Basic resource management. Resource management, Krex'thor repeated, like he was tasting the words. Of course. I've been thinking like a warrior instead of a strategist. Maya, this could actually work, but I need to coordinate with my remaining fleet commanders. Can you stay on the line while I implement this plan? Maya looked at her call queue. 53 calls waiting now. Janet would be back from lunch soon, and she'd want to know why Maya had been on the same call for 15 minutes. I'll try, but I should warn you, my supervisor might. Maya, you need to understand something. If this plan works, you'll have helped save not just my fleet, but potentially millions of lives across dozens of star systems. The Zephyrians don't take prisoners. They don't negotiate. They conquer, strip mine, and move on. Oh, Maya hadn't really thought about the bigger picture. She'd been treating this like any other customer service call. But Krex'thor wasn't complaining about his bill or asking for technical support. He was fighting for his life, and apparently for the lives of millions of others. Okay, I'll stay on the line. But let's make this quick. Maya, I'm about to execute a tactical retreat from our primary defensive positions. If this goes wrong, I want you to know that talking to you has been the highlight of my day. Which, given that I'm in the middle of a space battle, says something about the quality of my usual conversations. Despite everything, Maya smiled. Just don't get yourself killed, Krex'thor. I've got a perfect customer satisfaction rating to maintain. Understood. Initiating retreat in 3, 2, 1. The line went quiet except for the distant hum of what Maya assumed were spaceship engines. She found herself holding her breath, waiting to see if her completely improvised military strategy would actually work. In the background, she could hear Krex'thor giving orders to his fleet. His voice had changed from desperate to determined. For the first time since the call started, he sounded like someone who might actually be called Supreme Warlord. Maya, are you still there? Still here. How's it going? The Zephyrians are taking the bait. They're moving to occupy our abandoned positions. My fleet is regrouping at the coordinates we discussed. Maya, I think this might actually work. Great. And after you win this battle, you'll probably want to call our billing department to upgrade your communication package. I noticed you're still on the basic plan. Krex'thor laughed. Actually laughed. Maya, if I survive this, I'm going to recommend you for the highest honors my empire can bestow. I'd settle for a good customer review. 23 minutes into the call, Maya had officially entered uncharted territory. She'd helped customers reset their passwords, explained billing cycles to confused aliens, and once spent an entire afternoon teaching a Andromedan grandmother how to use her new communicator. But she'd never coached someone through a space battle while simultaneously trying to look busy every time Janet walked by. Maya, the retreat is complete, and we're in position to strike their supply depot. But there's a problem. What kind of problem? Maya asked, minimizing her solitaire game as her supervisor glanced in her direction. My fleet commanders are questioning my orders. They think I've lost my mind. Tactical retreat isn't exactly in our cultural playbook. We're more of a charge headfirst into certain doom kind of people. Okay, that's a management issue. In customer service, we deal with this all the time. You need to get your team on board with the new strategy. How do I do that when half of them are convinced I'm showing cowardice in the face of the enemy? Maya leaned back in her chair. Krex'thor, let me ask you something. How did you become Supreme Warlord? I challenged the previous warlord to single combat and defeated him in front of the entire fleet. Right, so you proved you were the strongest. But being the strongest isn't the same as being the smartest, is it? What do you mean? I mean, any idiot can charge into battle swinging a sword. But it takes real intelligence to win a fight without throwing your people's lives away. Your commanders respect your strength, but now you need to show them your wisdom. There was a pause. Maya could hear muffled conversations in the background. Maya, I need you to help me explain this to them. They're used to following orders, not understanding strategy. Okay, but I should probably mention that I've never actually spoken to alien warlords before. I don't know the protocol. There is no protocol. Just be yourself. Maya closed her eyes. All right, put me on speaker. Attention, fleet commanders, Krex'thor's voice boomed. I want you to meet Maya Rodriguez, strategic advisor from Earth. She's the one who developed our current battle plan. Greetings, commanders, Maya said, trying to project confidence she didn't feel. I understand you have concerns about the tactical retreat. A chorus of alien voices erupted from the speaker. Maya couldn't understand most of it, but the tone was pretty clear. They were not happy. Okay, I get it. You're all brave warriors who would rather die fighting than run away. But here's the thing about strategy. It's not about being brave or cowardly. It's about being smart. The alien voices quieted down a little. Your enemy expects you to act like warriors. They've planned for that. They've counted on you doing exactly what warriors always do. But what if you don't? What if you act like something they've never encountered before? What do you mean? This voice was different from the others, deeper, more thoughtful. I mean, what if you act like customer service representatives? Maya could practically hear the confusion through the phone. In my job, when someone calls angry, my first instinct is to fight back. But that never works. The customer gets angrier, I get frustrated, and nobody wins. But if I step back and really listen to what they need, if I find a way to solve their problem without making it a contest of wills, then everybody wins. The Zephyrians are not customers, someone growled. No, but they're still people. Or aliens. Whatever. The point is, they have a goal. They want your resources. They're willing to fight for them because they think it's the only way to get what they want. But what if you show them it's not? You're suggesting we negotiate? The voice was scandalized. I'm suggesting you win. Not just this battle, but the whole war. You can spend the next decade fighting the Zephyrian system by system, losing ships and people. Or you can end it right now by showing them that attacking you costs more than it's worth. Maya was getting into it now. She could feel the same energy that helped her calm down angry customers, the satisfaction of turning a problem into a solution. Commander Krex'thor has given you an opportunity to be remembered not as the warriors who died bravely, but as the strategists who saved the Empire. Your choice. The line went quiet. Maya held her breath, wondering if she'd just made things worse. Maya, Krex'thor's voice was quieter now, just for her. They're nodding. I can see them thinking. I think they're actually buying it. Good. Now stop asking them to follow orders and start asking them to help solve the problem. People support what they help create. Attention, commanders, Krex'thor announced. Maya has given us the framework, but I need your expertise to make this work. How do we hit their supply depot without losing half our fleet? And just like that, the dynamic changed. Instead of grumbling about orders, the alien commanders started talking strategy. Maya listened as they discussed approach vectors, defensive capabilities, and tactical timing. Maya, Krex'thor said during a brief pause in the planning, "What you just did, how did you learn to do that?" 3 years of customer service training and a really good employee handbook. Plus, I've had to deal with Janet, my supervisor. After that, alien warlords are easy. We're ready to begin the attack, one of the commanders announced. Excellent. Maya, will you stay on the line until this is over? Maya looked at her call queue. 61 calls waiting. Janet was definitely going to notice soon. But she'd come this far. I'll stay. But Krex'thor? Yes? Milichin. Next time you're planning a major military operation, maybe don't rely on customer service for strategic advice. Maya, if this works, I'm going to make customer service a mandatory course at the Imperial War College. Maya's phone rang at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. She knew it was 6:47 a.m. because she'd been staring at the ceiling for the past hour, wondering if yesterday had actually happened, or if she'd finally had a complete mental breakdown. Maya Rodriguez? The voice was unfamiliar, formal, and calling her at home. Yeah, that's me. Who is this? This is Janet from Galactic Communications. I need you to come in early today. We have a situation. Maya sat up in bed. A situation? What kind of situation? The kind where our customer service department is suddenly the most famous telecommunications team in 3 galaxies. Maya, what exactly did you do yesterday? I helped a customer with a problem? That customer was Supreme Warlord Krex'thor of the Crimson Nebula Fleet. He defeated the Zephyrian Empire using strategy you provided. The entire battle was broadcast live across the Galactic Communication Network. Maya felt her stomach drop. Oh. Oh is right, Maya, you're famous. The phones haven't stopped ringing. We've got interview requests from 17 different news networks, 3 documentary crews, and something called the Intergalactic Strategic Studies Institute. I just gave him some customer service advice. Well, your customer service advice just ended a war that was threatening to destabilize an entire sector. Maya, I need you to get down here right now. And Maya? Maya? Yeah? Wear something nice. You're going to be on television. Maya arrived at the office to find chaos. The parking lot was full of vehicles she didn't recognize, including what appeared to be a spaceship. The lobby was packed with beings that definitely weren't human, all talking excitedly in languages she couldn't identify. Maya. Janet grabbed her arm the moment she walked in. Thank God you're here. We've got a situation. I can see that. Janet, is that a purple octopus wearing a business suit? That's Ambassador Krex'thor from the Rigellian Trade Federation. He's been waiting since 5 a.m. to speak with you. Maya, everyone wants to talk to you. The CEO of Galactic Communications is on his way down from the corporate headquarters on Mars. Mars, Maya. Maya looked around the office. Her coworkers were all staring at her with a mixture of awe and confusion. Someone had set up a camera crew in the break room. This is insane. I didn't do anything special. I just treated him like any other customer. Maya, you ended a war with customer service techniques. Do you understand how unprecedented that is? Maya Rodriguez. The voice boomed across the office. Maya turned to see a massive figure in ornate armor striding toward her. It was unmistakably Krex'thor, though he looked a lot more impressive in person than he had sounded on the phone. Krex'thor? What are you doing here? I came to thank you in person. He swept her up in a hug that lifted her completely off the ground. Maya, you saved my empire. You saved millions of lives. You are the greatest strategic mind of our generation. I'm a customer service representative from New Jersey. You're a miracle worker. Maya, I've brought gifts. He gestured to several aliens who were carrying what appeared to be treasure chests, rare minerals from the Andromeda sector, ceremonial weapons forged in the heart of a dying star, the crown jewels of the Zephyrian Empire. The what now? They surrendered after we destroyed their supply depot. The attack was so perfectly executed that they assumed we had superior intelligence capabilities. They're now requesting to join our alliance. Maya looked at Janet, who was frantically taking notes. Maya, Janet whispered, the CEO wants to offer you a promotion. Senior Vice President of Intergalactic Strategic Relations, your own department. Company spaceship. I don't want a company spaceship. Maya Rodriguez. The purple octopus in the business suit approached. I am Ambassador Krex'thor. I represent 47 different species who are interested in your consultation services. My consultation services? Your strategic methodology has applications far beyond military conflicts. We have trade disputes, territorial negotiations, resource allocation problems. We need someone who can think outside conventional paradigms. Maya looked around the office. The camera crew was filming everything. Her co-workers were taking pictures with their phones. Janet was practically vibrating with excitement. This is crazy. I just applied basic customer service principles to a space battle. Exactly. Krex'thor boomed. You approached warfare from a completely different perspective. Maya, you've revolutionized military strategy. I helped you problem solve. That's what customer service is. Yes, and now everyone wants to learn your methods. Maya, you're not just famous, you're legendary. Maya's phone rang. She looked at the caller ID'd unknown number. Maya Rodriguez, Galactic Communications. How can I help you? Maya, thank the cosmos I reached you. This is Fleet Admiral Vex Terra of the Centauri Defense Force. We have a situation with the Martian Mining Consortium, and we need your immediate assistance. Maya looked at Janet, who was nodding frantically. I'll see what I can do. As she started taking notes about the Martian Mining Consortium problem, Maya realized her life had just taken a very unexpected turn. She was no longer just a customer service representative. She was apparently an intergalactic strategic consultant. And judging by the line of aliens waiting to speak with her, business was about to get very interesting. 3 weeks later, Maya found herself sitting in what could only be described as the galaxy's most uncomfortable conference room. The chairs were designed for beings with completely different anatomical structures. The air smelled like a combination of ozone and cafeteria food, and she was pretty sure the ceiling was trying to communicate with her through a series of blinking lights. Maya Rodriguez, announced a being that looked like a cross between a lobster and a filing cabinet. You have been summoned to mediate the conflict of 7 suns. The what now? 7 different species claiming territorial rights to the same star system, explained Ambassador Krex'thor, who had apparently appointed himself her unofficial guide to galactic politics. It's been going on for 300 years. Maya rubbed her temples. And you want me to solve it? Your reputation precedes you, said a tall, crystalline being whose voice sounded like wind chimes. The human who ended the Zephyrian War. The strategic savior of the Crimson Nebula. The one who applies ancient Earth wisdom to modern problems. It's not ancient Earth wisdom. It's customer service training. Same thing, Krex'thor said confidently. Maya looked around the room. Representatives from 7 different species sat at a circular table that was probably worth more than her annual salary. They were all staring at her expectantly. Okay, let's start with the basics. Why does everyone want this particular star system? It contains the largest known deposit of quantum crystals in the galaxy, explained the lobster filing cabinet being. It's located at a strategic hyperspace junction, added a creature that looked like a sentient cloud of gas. The planets have perfect atmospheric conditions for our species, chimed in something that might have been a plant. The system has religious significance to our people, said a being covered in what appeared to be living armor. Maya started taking notes. So we've got economic value, strategic importance, environmental needs, and religious significance. What else? The system was promised to us by the previous galactic government as compensation for war damages, said a species that looked remarkably like angry mushrooms. Our ancestors discovered it first, declared a group of beings that resembled mechanical spiders. We have a prior claim based on interstellar salvage rights, added the 7th species, which Maya couldn't even begin to describe. Maya looked at her notes. So let me get this straight. You've all been fighting over this star system for 3 centuries because each of you has a different but equally valid claim to it. Correct, they all said in unison. And in those 3 centuries, how much have you spent on this conflict? The room went quiet. I mean, add up all the military expenses, the diplomatic costs, the resources diverted from other projects, the opportunity costs of not using your fleets for productive purposes. What's the total? The crystalline being made a sound like breaking glass. We've never calculated that. Well, let's do some quick math. Maya pulled out her phone and opened the calculator app. Krex'thor, what's the estimated value of those quantum crystals? Approximately 47 billion galactic credits. And the strategic value of the hyperspace junction? Perhaps another 30 billion in trade route advantages. Maya tapped her phone. So we're talking about a system worth roughly 77 billion credits. How much do you think you've each spent fighting over it? The silence was deafening. Here's a thought, Maya continued. What if instead of fighting over who gets to own the system, you figured out a way to share it? Share it? The plant being rustled its leaves indignantly. That's impossible. Is it? In customer service, we call this a win-win solution. Everyone gets something they want. Nobody gets everything they want, but everybody's better off than they were before. How would that work? Asked the gas cloud. Maya stood up and walked to the holographic display in the center of the room. You, she pointed to the lobster filing cabinet, you want the quantum crystals. You, she pointed to the gas cloud, you want the hyperspace junction. You, she pointed to the plant, you want the atmospheric conditions. She gestured to the others. Religious significance, war reparations, historical claims, salvage rights. What if each of you got what you actually need instead of fighting over what you think you want? Elaborate, said the mechanical spiders. Joint custody. Shared governance. Cooperative development. You form a consortium, divide the system based on your actual needs, and split the profits. The crystal miners get their crystals, the traders get their junction, the environmentalists get their planets, and everyone else gets a piece of the economic pie. That's actually brilliant, whispered the crystalline being. It's customer service, Maya said. When two customers want the same thing and you can't give it to both of them, you find a way to give each of them what they actually need. The room erupted in excited chatter. Maya sat back down and watched as 7 species that had been enemies for centuries started talking about cooperation. "Maya," Quillix said quietly, "how did you know that would work?" "I didn't. But I figured it was worth a try. The worst that could happen is they'd keep fighting. And they were already doing that. You just ended a 300-year conflict in 15 minutes. Maya looked around the room. The 7 species were already drafting preliminary agreements, discussing resource sharing, and planning joint development projects. "You know what the funny thing is?" Maya said. "I'm starting to realize that most conflicts aren't really about what people say they're about. They're about feeling heard, feeling respected, feeling like their needs matter. Once you address that, the actual problem solving is usually pretty straightforward. Maya, you're not just a customer service representative anymore. You're a diplomat, a peacemaker, a legend." Maya smiled. "I'm still a customer service representative. I'm just working with a much more interesting customer base." Her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID, Supreme Warlord Krex'thor. "Maya, thank the void you answered. We have a situation with the Galactic Trade Commission, and we need your help." Maya looked at Quillix, who was grinning with all 6 of his mouths. "I'll be right there," she said. 6 months later, Maya Rodriguez sat in her new office, looking out at the earth below through a window that definitely hadn't been there when she was working customer service. The sign on her door read Maya Rodriguez, Intergalactic Problem Solver. She'd fought for that title instead of the more formal Director of Interspecies Conflict Resolution that corporate had wanted. Her desk was covered with thank you notes from various alien species. A few small tokens of appreciation that may or may not have been worth more than the GDP of small countries. And a coffee mug that read Galaxy's best customer service rep in 17 different languages. Maya, her assistant, a remarkably efficient being named Zix who looked like a cross between a secretary bird and a computer, poked their head through the door. "Your 2 p.m. appointment is here. Send them in." Maya had quit Galactic Communications after her 5th intergalactic crisis intervention, not because she didn't like the work, but because she'd realized she could do more good on her own. Her consulting firm, Rodriguez Solutions, had quickly become the go-to service for impossible diplomatic situations. Her client turned out to be a familiar purple octopus in a business suit. "Quillix, what brings you by?" "Maya, I have a situation that requires your particular expertise." "Let me guess. Another territorial dispute? Trade war? Religious conflict? Worse. My teenage daughter wants to date a Martian." Maya stared at him. That's a parenting issue, not a diplomatic crisis." "Maya, you don't understand. She's a Rigellian noble. He's a Martian commoner. Our species have been enemies for generations. If this relationship becomes public, it could destabilize the entire sector." Maya leaned back in her chair. "So we're talking about a Romeo and Juliet situation, but with tentacles and red skin." "Exactly. Maya, I need you to help me navigate this without causing an intergalactic incident." "Quillix, I'm a problem solver, not a family therapist." "Maya, you ended the Zephyrian War with customer service techniques. You resolved the conflict of 7 suns with basic conflict resolution. You stopped the Great Taxation Rebellion by teaching the Galactic Revenue Service about empathy. If anyone can handle interdimensional teenage romance, it's you." "Now," Maya considered this, "what exactly are you asking me to do?" "Help me understand how to be a better father while preventing a diplomatic catastrophe." "That's actually a really good question." Maya opened her laptop and started a new file. "Let's start with the basics. What are your actual concerns about this relationship?" "I want my daughter to be happy, but I also have responsibilities to my people. If this relationship causes problems between our species..." "Hold on, let me ask you something. Are you worried about the relationship because it's genuinely problematic? Or because you're afraid of what other people will think? Quelix was quiet for a moment. I'm not sure. In customer service, we call this fear-based decision-making. You're so worried about potential negative consequences that you're not focusing on what's actually happening right now. Maya spent the next hour walking Quelix through the same process she'd used with warring fleets and territorial disputes. By the end of the session, he'd realized that his concerns were more about his own fears than any actual diplomatic threat. Maya, you've done it again. You've taken an impossible situation and made it manageable. I've taken a complicated situation and broken it down into simple questions. That's what customer service is all about. After Quelix left, Maya sat back in her chair and smiled. She'd gone from answering phones in a cubicle to running her own consulting firm, from dealing with billing disputes to preventing wars, from helping individual customers to helping entire civilizations. But at its core, the job was still the same: listen to people's problems, figure out what they actually need, and find a way to help them get it. Her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID. Unknown number. Rodriguez Solutions. This is Maya. How can I help you? Maya. Thank the cosmic winds, you answered. This is Admiral Krex'thor of the Outer Rim Defense Fleet. We have a situation with a species of sentient robots who want to unionize, and it's causing problems with our manufacturing contracts. Maya grabbed a fresh notepad and started taking notes. Tell me more about these robots. What exactly are they asking for? As she listened to the Admiral's problem, Maya couldn't help but smile. She'd come a long way from dealing with angry customers complaining about their phone bills. But whether she was talking to a frustrated human or a sentient robot labor union, the fundamentals remained the same. Listen, understand, find solutions, and always remember that behind every problem is someone who just wants to be heard. Maya Rodriguez, former customer service representative and current intergalactic problem solver, settled in for another day of turning the impossible into the merely complicated. Her phone was already ringing with the next crisis.